either in the park or on the road, which if it's allowed, then they need to change the ordinance that specifically says no parking on Kalis, no
Right.
parking
I
on,
am
with boat
interested in
trailers.
I am interested in I'd be interested to see what they say about paid parking in these spots. I mean, that's not.
I mean, because again, if you're not, we were.
I always think if it's good enough for the city, it's certainly good enough for the county.
Yeah, I mean, we were at the Bay Shore on Saturday, Sunday. And
I think so,
you have or you have a permit on your.
But I
Some of these are directly in violation of anything. But the way parking generally works in the neighborhood is unless it's posted, that you have the right to park there.
Yeah,
It looks like there is some postings of some of these things.
but by ordinance, it specifically names every road in Navy Point.
Okay.
And that's, but the deal is if you can only charge when people get space. If you wanna charge them for a license to park in Navy Point, and they get there and they can't park there, you've got a problem.
Let me find out, let me read the ordinance and see what's enforceable by us and what's not. Fair enough?
Yeah,
At least I can.
I like coffee.
We normally don't give it to them. That's normally, to be honest with you, on top of everything, that's an FHP function normally. But we want to be good partners to everybody, so let's see what's going on. Like, we don't work traffic accidents. Right. If there's something egregious, you know, just to the level of it. I'll read the ordinance. Thank you for this. Have y'all reached out to Mike yet and seen what he said? Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Guys, ready to get started? Everybody, thanks for being here tonight. This is the Navy Point Neighborhood Watch meeting for June. I'm so glad everybody is here. We are being recorded, and for the purpose of that is so we can provide both an audio file for you to listen to after the fact, a transcript, and then we generate an AI summary off of that. And then Tina still takes notes, and all of those will be available to everybody after this meeting. Quick things on the calendar. You're here tonight. Tomorrow night is food truck night at Triangle Park. Flourish will be there 4 to 7 p.m. Bill.
yeah.
This is the last food truck, at least that Bill's organizing, until September because it'll be too damn hot. I've got two things here that if you have not looked at and reviewed the South Navy Boulevard beautification plan, I urge you to do so and provide comments. These pick up on these little cards on your way out. It has the address on there for you to go to. In addition, there are 5 new projects that Restore is considering, and they'd like people's feedback on that. These are all water quality and stormwater abatement issues, so take a look at there, provide your feedback. Again, that's grab one of these, and if they're out when you leave, I'll be happy to get you a copy for that. And then the next meeting would be, at least neighborhood meeting would be the June 17th Warrington meeting, 5:30 at the Lexington Terrace. Quick overview of crime, and Marie, please jump in and help me here. You're on top of things here. But seems like there's been an uptick lately. We've had multiple garage break-ins. We've had, what else? Bicycle thefts, which is daily. Tons of speeding again. Excessive noise from vehicles. Illegal parking, which we were just sharing with our guests, in private yards, in the park, in streets where it doesn't belong. We had a hit and run vehicle accident on Grieve and Northwest Circle. Happened about 1 a.m. in the morning. You know, we've got people responding saying, I know where they are, I'm gonna go after them. There was, I guess I left my, what was the dude's name? Anyway, just urging people to, be the squeaky wheel, call the number, it works. I will try and be brief here, but we had a problem with people camping out in cars in the parking lot at Northwest Circle. Kept calling the deputies and they're saying they're not there. Then I go, set my alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning, woke up, they were there, deputies came, shoot them, they haven't been back. And more importantly, the deputies have been continuing to proactively go into the park when there are vehicles there after hours. And so that's the type of proactive policing I think we all want on that one. Any other crimes, things that people want to bring to his attention that?
I had something taken from my garage, but I foolishly have not reported it yet. I think there's nothing I can do about it. It's gone and it's not going to be retrievable. Should I go ahead and report it to the?
Yes.
You need to make a report.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
Okay.
The sheriff and his command staff look at crime stats. We're stat driven. So
Okay.
where we see an increased uptick in crime, those are the areas we concentrate on. So when you don't report it, you're doing a disservice to your neighborhood,
Thank you.
because we're not aware that, we don't have a crystal ball that tells us where crime's happening. We get the word from you guys.
So I'm a week, it happened last week. Is it too late to do?
No.
Okay.
Call tomorrow.
Thank you. I
Yes,
will.
ma'am.
It'll help with an
That was-
insurance claim too, Pat, if you're gonna put an insurance
I
claim
don't
on it.
think my deductibles.
Was your garage open or closed?
My garage was closed and the large door was locked, but the short door, the small door was not locked. It's being locked now.
That's what we're seeing a lot of.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Now, there is a video that if you, when you go home tonight, you can Google it, 6-second breaking into a garage door, and they can show you how easy a garage door is to get into, under 6 seconds. A closed, locked garage door.
Going in over the top.
Yep.
Is it breaking or is it just something like a trick?
They reach through with a clothes hanger, grab the safety handle, or grab the little latch at the top with the safety handle hooks to, give it a tug, and the garage is unlocked and opens.
So now that has to be padlocked as well.
You don't padlock.
Well, I mean, I.
All you need to do is,
I'm
there's two
5
things.
years old.
If you cut the handle off of the emergency pull string,
Right.
you don't want to cut the cord off, just the handle. Because if you don't have power and that's the only way you can
Right.
get out, you gotta be able to pull that to unlock it.
Okay.
Then if you go up to the, where that cable hooks in,
Mm-hmm.
there'll be a little hole that the cable goes through. You can put a hole in the part that slides right above that, put a small zip tie in it, and they can't grab it with a clothes hanger. That's all you gotta do.
And the video is gonna show me.
Yes, it will show you exactly what to do. Lenny the
You lost
locksmith.
me on the little hole part.
Yeah, it's easy to do because all garage doors are built the same way.
Okay.
When you have a garage door, the handle is right in the middle of the door, so they don't even gotta have a window to look in and see what they're doing. Reaching with clothes hanger, they'll feel it when they hook it, just give it a tug.
Well, they went through the short.
But you need to make sure you lock it.
Yeah.
If you don't lock the doors, they're no good.
Dave?
Yeah, two things. A few meetings ago, we had the bicycle sheriff's department come by. I have yet to see anybody. Is that being happening anymore? Is that
What was your question?
That's the bicycle
The sheriff's
patrol.
department had a cycle patrol, a bicycle patrol.
We did.
And they came and talked about it, and we said, this is great if they come by in those off hours. I have never seen anybody, and I don't know if we've ever had them, but that may be a good thing to have a deputy dressed riding down the alleys in their
We do.
bicycle at night, because we need deterrence, and that would be one thing.
We'll talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
The second thing is, I guess I'm blue in the face like a lot of other people, but there is a known, in my opinion, drug home in the neighborhood. every day, there's several cyclists, young, crazy kids with backpacks, bike through the neighborhood, go to this house, knock on the door, come out with something, and bike back out. And nothing's ever done about it, so.
Have you reported that to David?
I have.
And how do you know that's not currently being worked?
It is currently being worked.
I know, but it's been currently being worked for what, 10 years now? Well, 2, 3
Here's the problem. For us to get a search warrant, which they're gonna have to go in the house, we have to get probable cause.
Right.
Probable cause is the same level it takes to arrest someone. So they have to be able to buy drugs from that house. We have to be able to, either through a confidential informant or one of our undercover officers. We have to do it a couple of times before a judge will sign the search warrant.
Okay.
So narcotics can work on things and you may not see it. It's not an overnight solution. It depends on how much they trust people to buy drugs.
Okay.
Drug dealers are getting to be very paranoid about who they sell to.
Mhm.
They won't sell to people they don't know.
All right, so I have a suggestion based on the resources that the county has, is apparently there's a van or a surveillance trailer
I sign those.
that I would love to have that parked in front of this known drug house on Kailash, or put it on the front
It's a good
entrance
time.
to
It's the- go
Navy
ahead.
Point.
And I know
so
that
they
he-
can watch everybody coming in.
Yeah, let's go
going
ahead,
out,
let
and-
me
Ladies and
go
gentlemen,
ahead and kind of chat for a little bit, because I'm the gentleman that often assigns those vans. And I've assigned, 2 of those vans in Navy Point over the last 3 years, at least 2 or 3 times that I'm aware of. I'm also Ronnie Rivera, so I work sheriff's office, I'm a neighborhood specialist, which is a fancy title for, I study neighborhoods. And so I don't just look at them from a crime perspective, right? Because neighborhoods do not hang on just crime statistics, okay? I understand that most of you guys are probably here because you want to talk about crime, because you've got sheriff's office here. But I look at kind of a holistic approach, right? Lights, camera, action. What are we doing in a neighborhood to make the neighborhood better, make it sustainable over many years? Navy Point is a very interesting neighborhood. I'm also the guy that took down 2 houses in it, so I'm the guy that actually helped take those houses down. And it wasn't just me, there was a lot of area partners involved in this, to include our narcotics units. Oftentimes when we see a house and we think, hey, nothing is going on there, first thing you need to ask, have I called the officials to say nothing's going on there? So have you called and reported this house?
I can't remember if I.
Very good. So let's, in the future, you see something, say something, right? It's that old moniker from 9/11, see something, say something. So report the house, because eventually, if you report it enough times, it's gonna wind up where it needs to wind up. Not just with me, but with county officials also. Code enforcement, animal control. I run a neighborhood task force that meets monthly, and we talk about hotspots. So whatever house that you say, and I'm gonna write it down here before I leave, and make sure that it's not being worked. My suspicion is it may be worked, and we just don't know it. A lot of times we give it to narcotics, and that's the end of it for me. I never know what goes on because I'm not privy to that information. For good reason, right? You don't wanna leak out information, hey, we're working this house, we're working this house. There may be times where there are things going on at a house and you think, oh man, that guy is absolutely there to buy drugs, and he probably is. He could be one of our confidential informants. He could be one of our guys. Our narcotics team is amazing. But you also have to remember holistically about the sheriff's office. We run about 300,000 calls for service a year. So from day to day to day, one of our guys, Howard, if Howard was on the road, Howard is not. Howard works with our horse unit, which is a wonderful unit, by the way. But our guys, a rank and file guy, is running call to call to call to call. He's not doing proactive work. My unit, so neighborhood engagement team, is normally working those proactive calls. So if you report it to me, we go over and we say, okay, what's going on here? And then we say, hey, is this enough to warrant narcotics? Is it enough to warrant animal control? Is it enough to warrant county officials? So that's kind of what I do, just the basics of my job. That being said, we probably have, in my personal opinion, we have put more resources in Navy Point than we have a lot of neighborhoods. And there's a couple reasons why. One is, I'm a West Side kid, so I grew up over here on this side of town, and I love Navy Point. I go work out at Navy Point probably 3 times a week if I get a chance. I live out by the dog track. If there's a house that you think is of concern and you haven't called it in, let me know tonight, and then I'll take care of it. But what I don't think that we can do as a team is say, oh, this house is a problem, but we haven't called it. We've gotta make sure we make those calls. Because if you don't make those calls, like Howard said, we're just never gonna know.
And Ronnie, these calls go to the non-emergency.
Yeah, I would start out there, but if you're here to neighborhood watch, then certainly tell somebody that's here, like you're gonna tell me tonight, I'll write it down, so whoever comes from us to speak. That being said, I often tell neighborhoods when I go to these discussions, is that have other people in your meetings besides, us. I mean, I guess you had the commissioner last time, have animal control come out, have all those people, because you will find out that sometimes we don't have the ability to go on somebody's property because there's no probable cause for us to get there. But animal control might be able to do that for us, right? Or code enforcement might be able to do that for us. So the jurisdiction, I work with the Department of Health all the time to make sure that, there's sewage or what's going on there. If I can find a way to tear a house down that's a nuisance to a neighborhood, I'm going to do it. That's just the end of it. It's a long process. It's not an easy process. And at the end of the day, we don't own bulldozers and we don't do the contracting. We just push county officials to say, hey, we've got 99 calls at this particular house. What can we do about it? 2 weeks ago, I was at a house that I really thought this was a moot issue. Same kind of thing, right? I know for sure there are squatters on that house, but I cannot go on that property. So we wait, and we look, and we're waiting, and then finally, we get a break. We can go on the property. It takes us a little bit of time, we find some probable cause, we find out sure enough there's squatters in this house. Man has been dead for almost a year now, people are coming in and out, he had nobody taking care of his house because he had no relatives, and so finally we got that house shut down. Sometimes that's just enough, not just taking it down, sometimes we just shut it down is enough, right? I think that's the point. If you have a particular house, we're gonna look after it, but you gotta call us. That's just kind of in a 2-minute speech of what I do on a sort of a granular level. I do a lot of other things. Of course, I do whatever the sheriff asks me to do. I do report to the sheriff. We were out at Navy Point 2 Thursdays ago, and there was a food truck rally. We got an invite out there, and it was a pretty cool time. That Triangle Park is so cool that we're going to host a movie night there. So the first time, in my opinion, the first time in a very walk-up neighborhood, meaning that I don't anticipate people from Beulah coming to this. They may, hopefully they do. But this is really for the neighborhood of Navy Point. In late November 26th is when I have it on the calendar. We'll do a sheriff's movie night. We will bring a large screen TV that we bought from our foundation. We'll cook hot dogs, hamburgers, show a movie. It's a wonderful time. But you gotta let us know what we can do better to help you in your neighborhood as far as houses. And I can tell you, Navy Point's got 3 or 4 that I'm working right now. So it may be the same one. A lot of times what happens is code enforcement will call me and they'll say, hey, how many calls do you have of this? And I'll say, I don't know, let me look it up. And it just kind of winds up on our board. What's the number of the house? What house is it?
I'm sure you're working it, because there was a big task force that came a couple weeks ago, but I'm still seeing these, what looks like.
Yeah, I think we're working
in and out.
Yeah.
Two different houses.
It's being worked.
Yeah, we're working 2 different addresses
Yep,
down there.
both on Kailash.
Yes.
One in the 200 block and one in the
Yeah.
300 block.
There's one on Kailash that I can tell you, I'm sure that we've been working it for years. I agree. There's one that we've been working for years.
And there was a big response a couple weeks ago of a bunch of sheriffs going there. And I think, good, maybe there's still these people biking in with backpacks.
The other thing is that why you have to continue to call is sometimes these houses are being squatted in. And just because I run all these folks off squatting, doesn't mean that these 4 or 5 people are not gonna come back 2 weeks later. Sometimes once I get some squatters out, and by the way, that's not an easy process either. The laws often will help squatters. I have to have some real serious proof that somebody doesn't have a contract. And it takes a lot. Trust me, it takes a lot of patience. So sometimes we have to work some houses over. There was one house, and it was the one on Coast Note, the one
9 Kuzma.
Gooseneau, sorry. That took a minute to tear that one down because we had different groups of squatters come in and out and in and out. Just because I forced them out, everybody has rights. And that's what sometimes is, the Constitution is a bear. It really is a bear. Homeless, that's something that I work on every day, homeless in Escambia County. I am a fundamental believer that you are not gonna arrest your way out of homelessness. You just can't. The jail's not big enough, we don't have enough people to go arrest everybody. And if a person, if you have a, here's the thing, I tell people, if you have a right to be somewhere, often these people have a right to be somewhere too, whether it's so public sidewalk, that kind of stuff, public spaces, the boat ramp, for example. If you're gonna pull a boat ramp down, or you're gonna pull a boat down there, then everybody has that right, and so you have to be careful of people's rights. But we're here and we want to clean up, I certainly want to clean up if there's a house in particular that you have issue with. That being said, I think, real quick, the sheriff is very big on the enforcement engagement. I think you guys know that he ran on that a couple of years ago and ran unopposed last year, enforcement engagement. I do a lot of the engagement portion of this. So I go out and set up movie nights, I set up coffee with the cops, all those things. I'm gonna tell you, I got my hands in quite a bit, and I'm very thankful to have that ability to do that because I love this job. I love working with neighborhoods. But again, let's talk about streetlights, let's talk about sidewalks, let's not just talk about crime in a neighborhood. I think it's important to start thinking about those things because oftentimes neighborhood watch groups are amazing. They do a lot of great things, but there are some other things that you can do, I think. What other concerns you got? Let's start with that.
Speeding.
What is it?
Speeding.
Speeding?
Speeding is bad.
Where at?
Down on Sunset, from one speed bump to the other.
Yeah, we worked that, one of our officers went out and wrote
I hadn't seen
20, he wrote 20 tickets in one day.
Which one? Where at? On
the
the
500 block.
So past the bridge, and then that next block in between those speed bumps.
Yeah.
I know where it's at. I'll get some speed trailers out there.
You need to get more than that. You need some cops out there to write some tickets.
So that's your suggestion to write some tickets out there. I'm gonna tell you, I'll do that for you.
And something else, we got these people coming down with these loud music, boom boom trucks now.
I'm gonna tell you, I'll do that. I'll have them out there writing speeding tickets.
Thank you.
But I will tell you, it's your neighbors.
Yep.
Nobody from Beulah is coming down here to
Well,
speed
I know
in the
that.
neighborhood,
They
so
come-
just know,
They
it's your
come through the
neighbors.
base and come through and come around.
Ronnie,
That's a lot.
Yeah.
there is, just to tweak it a little bit, there is a complication that from time immemorial, going back to when, Sunset was a state road.
Right?
People that are trying to get to the base get to work on time in the morning. Now, I know that, I think with your thing, Richard, there was a car chase and there was more involved with that
Oh,
one
no,
thing
we see it every
recently.
day.
But they're avoiding, the base, as always, this has been saying for 10 years, and every time the conversation gets going, it's like people have talked to Steve Opalinick about it. The base needs to get involved to a certain degree because there are employees that are coming through on Sunset like a speedway to avoid Navy and Gulf Beach Highway. Can't blame them for that, it's legal, but they're coming through at a pretty dangerous clip.
It's during rush hour.
It's-
probably.
See, and speed bumps don't.
No,
They
Yeah.
don't.
Well,
I'm not,
anything.
and
All
I
they
don't
is-
speak.
All they
I-
do is wreck the undercarriage of your car
Right.
and,
Yeah, the ones
They don't
we have
stop,
on-
they don't,
Yeah.
I used to tell people, and I still believe this is true, is that it doesn't slow you, it just increases your progress, that's all. But yeah,
I appreciate it.
was in the mornings,
It's
kind of the
night-
afternoons when traffic is
most
coming
of
through
the
to the
nighttime-
base?
Most time at nighttime, like from 4 o'clock on, I sit out there on the front porch and it looks like 5 flags going down through there.
both way, Richard, which way are they going when you're
Going
walking?
out.
Going out, okay, so they're going home.
He's not by the bridge, he's on the other side of the
Yeah,
triangle.
he's talking about the little bridge that
Can we
goes.
just
Yeah.
talk?
He's at the headwaters.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things where Richard is, it's a straightaway.
Yeah,
It basically goes from his house all the way down to Gibbs Point. Then you can turn onto Sunset and go toward the base. That's part of the problem, but it is, a lot of them are neighbors or going to Gibbs Beach.
I know where the speeding is, I
Yeah.
won't tell you how I know, but I know how the speeding is, Navy Point.
I tried
I know where it's
I
at.
tried to get speed bumps put in there in between them two.
Yeah.
And the people didn't want it because they said it'd afraid to tear the car.
Speed bumps are not gonna solve your problem.
Yeah.
What
I know
happens,
the speed that radar guns.
yeah, people will drive over, they'll go slow over speed bumps, and you run, you get faster to get to the next one.
That little trailer y'all put out there on the side of the road that tells them how fast they're going.
Just flashing.
It just flashes and it makes them go.
Also,
30,
gives us some data.
35.
It also gives us some data, and so that'll go ahead.
Well, then I'll offer, maybe other people can add, you mentioned the Navy Point improvement they're talking about changing the lanes. If there were 2 right turn lanes or a free right turn lane coming from Gulf Beach Highway to get on maybe to the base, that would have helped give incentive to stay on that instead of cutting through Mavis Point. So I would suggest while you're doing your, mention that, it minimizes the traffic cut throughs in Mavis Point.
What else y'all got going on over there? Speeding's always an issue.
You can't get out down here on Gulf Beach Highway since the hurricane.
Yeah, ever since it took
No red light.
I agree, why did that ever come back?
So dangerous.
It's a state highway, the traffic does not.
Because Doug wanted it taken out, cause it was impeding
Now, it's a
progress.
state highway and the traffic, once the bridge
That's why
went
it
in,
came out.
there was not enough traffic
Right.
exiting on West Sunset.
That's right.
It's a state highway.
Yeah,
And
it is.
But for people that don't wanna do it, all you gotta do is go out Heinrich, you can go down to Decatur, you can actually go I'm speaking, you can go all the way to Fairfield without ever having getting on Gulf Beach
Right.
Highway. But it's out of the way, people don't like that. But because you don't wanna turn Gulf Beach Highway into 98 or over in Gulf Breeze where you got a traffic light every 800 feet.
I always wondered if people thought they just didn't wanna stop on Gulf Beach Highway at that point.
But it's a problem. There, when the light was there were a lot of accidents.
They could put a turning lane in on Gulf Beach Highway, so when you do pull out, at least you have a place.
There's no place to pull when you're pulling out.
Speeding, this particular house, what else you guys got? Go ahead.
There appears to continue to be the campers, illegal campers in the woods, in the bushes in Navy Point.
Where at?
Especially down, well, I've seen a boat, which I can't say there, close to where the park is, the Kids Point
Yes,
Park.
sir.
There's a boat there, maybe they're in those woods, but I know further down the bayou, I see groups coming out with their bicycles from the woods and getting out and doing their thing. So if they're it's in the marshlands on the southwest part of Navy Point.
So what is that? So if you go all the way down, what is that, Boblets? You go all the way down, the water's on your left, you go all the way around, and then it dead ends.
Cousineau.
Is that what you're talking about they're coming out at?
Yeah, I've seen them in a couple
Because I worked,
spots.
3 years ago, I worked that pretty heavily to make that end, so it sounds like we need
I
to examine
think
that one more
the
time.
2 areas is, there's a off-flow pipe that feeds to an estuary-ish,
Yes, sir.
and that's overgrown, so they're in there, and they're at the very end, I guess, of Cousineau 2, where they're going down there, where there's been boats parked before and problems. But, like I said, if we had a cyclist that would show up at, 11, 12 o'clock at night with the lights and looking for heat cameras to see if anybody's there, that would help run people off.
Thanks, go ahead.
Ronnie,
Yes, ma'am.
to speak to what David is saying, I know that there are all kinds of little holes, hovels, caves, I don't know, whatever.
These
And
bushes.
for a good while, I was working with the county parks people to try and get them to clear that area out and make it so that there's no cave for them to get into and.
What happened to that? I remember that.
Well, it's
Like
just
everything else.
exhausting, you ask for it, and then you ask for it again, and,
Part of the problem's been the Parks and Recreation,
but there's.
because they have to get their
stuff there
horticulturists
that they-
involved in it also.
Yeah, that was part of it. Part of it was the cutting of it. Wasn't it that there was some endangered species in
No,
there?
it's
or something?
technically a wetland
That's
in
what-
part of the areas.
Yeah.
And they can do hand tools in an area like that. They can't take the big equipment.
Yeah, some of the areas are considered probably.
And what a lot of people don't realize, wetland is whether it's natural or man-made. If you got runoff off of Sunset, that wetland at the boat ramp is a wetland, even though it's caused just by rain coming down Sunset.
Right,
They can't get in there and clear cut that. They can get in there with hand tools and do it, but they can't clear cut it.
I go to a lot of these types of meetings throughout the month, and I meet with a lot of constituents that are out in their neighborhoods. And I'm gonna tell you guys, Navy Point is a wonderful neighborhood.
yes.
It really truly is a wonderful neighborhood. We were, like I said, when we were there at the park the other night,
I mean, Navy Point is still very well maintained in my opinion. And I know some of you guys, if you're a victim of crime, you think it's the most serious and heinous crime, and I respect that 100%, and you should. But in the whole scope of neighborhoods in Escambia County, you guys are doing pretty good. You got some parking, you got a little speeding issue, you got some of those kinds of, what we call nuisance issues. That's why we have the nuisance van, right? We got a couple of them that come out, but yes, ma'am.
Litter, fewer cats.
Fewer-
Should I keep going?
There are
We're
fewer.
talking about nuisance of litter. Every day I walk and I pick up, I go up and down the beach, the park, and I pick up plastic bags, cans, bottles, cigarette butts. I mean, every single day. And we had a meeting 2 months ago with the animal control guy. He said to contact animal control. He made all kinds of promises. They haven't done anything. I have more feral cats than ever. I had to buy a cover for my car.
I sent you
I talked to
John's
Marie and she
email
emailed
address.
Marie emailed, I talked to her just now. She emailed the gentleman and he never responded to her. Now they're getting on top of my car. I had to buy a car cover for my car because they're scratching the top of my car now. So it is a beautiful neighborhood, a lot of potential. But we have these meetings and we get all kinds of promises and nobody does anything. It's very aggravating.
So there's a feral cat program in the county. I guess they still have it.
Yes.
The feral cat
Well, the
program.
gentleman was here and he said he was gonna start it. I said, let's do it. And he said, oh yeah, we're gonna, they haven't done it. I was saying, we've got more cats than ever. And, they haven't started, they haven't done it.
You gotta follow up with them. Seriously,
Well, Marie followed up, right, and they never,
follow up.
Actually, they have been. They have been.
Go ahead.
They've,
From my
they've been,
perspective,
they've
they
been out a
haven't done
couple times a
anything
week.
Is the
For,
way to phrase that.
I was talking.
I
was
was
talking.
recognized.
Hang on, guys, hang on.
I was recognized. From somebody's perspective, they haven't done anything. Maybe true, maybe not true. We don't know what they're doing. One of the things I was gonna ask, bike patrol, I understand they're at the beach and that's their priority. But what would it cost to fund a program, not just for District 2, so we could get all the commissioners to do it, to hit the hot spots in District 2 and District 3 and District 4, to kind of rotate it, to say, okay, we're not
It's a
gonna
grant,
pull.
and I'll have to look, Bill, that was a grant program that we
Yeah.
got. That grant program may have went away. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of grant programs have recently went away. I'll have to check, to be honest with you. That's just where I'm at. Go ahead.
Couple things, since, the feral cat thing got brought up, obviously this is in the sheriff's department, and Mylene, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, obviously you texted me a few days ago.
I know, and that's what I just told, Marie.
But, so to reiterate, John is super busy, so of course he could have missed emails, just so you know, and the sheriff's department knows, he has started an all Navy Point TNR.
Oh, well.
Like, we are incredibly lucky that they picked our neighborhood.
Really, where? Will you please tell me, because like,
He was at the boat ramp 2 weeks ago and we posted the locations that he's been. I think Kevin posted some locations, Bill might have been on, I don't know, I'm not on Facebook anymore and I know you're not either. And so we don't get some information, but they are coming out and he has asked, please email, and if he misses it, email again or call with your address. Let him know he can't come pick up cats that he doesn't, his staff can't come get the cats, he doesn't know that we're there. He's not ignoring you, he might have missed an email, I would just beg you to try again. I'm happy to email him, call him with your address, if you, I'm not gonna do it unless, you want, but that resource is there, not like I think anybody would tell you guys, oh, hey, we've got feral cats.
Yeah.
The second thing that I wanted to mention.
I've heard about a lot of feral cats in Escambia County since I've been in this position.
It's just huge,
300,000 plus,
it's
Yeah,
just-
it really is. That's how I knew there was a feral
And we are
cat program,
literally
assuming it's still in place.
The only neighborhood, we worked with John to get this, that
Right.
they are trying to do, I don't know, it's not an experiment, but
Test
they're.
case, kind of.
A test case to see if they come, because we're a peninsula, it's a good area, that they can't come get all of them at once, but they have been down, I think, 2-3 times. Mylene has horrible problems, and so clearly they have not been, something has happened with the communication that they don't know
Right.
about her area. They need to learn about it and come
Correct.
deal with that. The other thing, just specific to our, block, and I've mentioned this to Officer Anderson, and I think you know Ronnie, but just once again, Kevin and I were out again on our final phase of installing cameras on our property. We've got about 20 cameras across 2 properties that don't just shoot interior, they are all the way around the perimeter. Some of them go for miles, they've got infrared, and we've got multiple cameras with audio. So if anything in our area happens, like, you know, the bike that got stolen behind in the alley or whatever, we are more than happy to turn any of our video over. We're not gonna do it if it's like, well, we look at it and there's like nothing here. We've had a couple of requests that seemed like they might have been like neighbors going against neighbors, and no, we're not gonna, but for the police, for the deputies, for the sheriffs, and for anyone in the neighborhood, if there's something that happens, for instance, one of our cameras in the front of our house will see all the way to Gibbs Point. We have 2 license plate readers that are on either side of the property now, okay? So, I mean, and this is really high-grade security equipment that we are happy to share. We thought it was a good investment after we had some, you know, issues, not just with theft, but with some stalking and some crazy stuff that was going on, quite frankly. So, you know, we're happy to help that way. If you know, and you said the thing about Officer Anderson and being with the horses, he also patrols Navy Point.
He does.
So, you know, he keeps
Quite a bit.
quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So,
And
No, give him a crap.
And Howard is part of this overall community engagement team where our guys are going out and doing that. And so we have, you know, half a dozen or whatever that do that kind of, you know, if it's, so I told you, our guys run from call to call to call, 300,000 calls a year from the north end to the south end of the county, give or take. Oftentimes when our guys get somewhere, it's a pretty simple, clear-cut thing, right? This person's violated this crime, and we arrest them, or maybe they got a complaint and they didn't do it, and we say, hey, we can't arrest them, we don't have probable cause. But more often than not, we get a tremendous amount of cases where it takes tremendous amount of lead power, but it's not a crime where an investigator would go investigate it. It needs a person in uniform to say, hey, to really spend some time with this. And so that's how we get kind of this proactive look. So yes, Howard goes in, we've got Melissa goes in, a couple of different deputies that go in. It can take a little bit longer with something. Go ahead.
I was wondering if, when we're going from case to case to case, when they're filling out their paperwork, if they happen to be close to a problem house, they sit in front of the house to do their paperwork. They're on the sheriff's time. I'm not saying do your lunch break in front of this crack house.
Yeah, that's not how it's done anymore. But yeah, they don't.
Here's the problem with that issue.
Maybe
A lot of people don't know how we're doing the deal.
Yeah.
We have to type our reports into the computer.
Right.
So the guys are having to log in to the report module, and it's not an easy process to put these reports in. If there's
I
suspects
understand
involved,
what you're saying, but if you're sitting in front of my house, one thing, I think it was Ronnie, or maybe you said it earlier, they're not necessarily smart or stupid, but they are paranoid. And if they see a deputy sitting out in front of their house, it may be 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then when they roll their window down and they see Pat, we'll be back tonight or in the morning at 2 o'clock, whether they are or not is irrelevant, but that word will get around. And
I certainly think that the word is around that the sheriff, I think the bad guys know that Sheriff Simmons is very serious about the enforcement part of what we do. We absolutely will put you in jail pretty quickly if we have probable cause to put you in jail. And then we're very clear about that. We're also very clear about the cameras. She talked a little bit about cameras. We have a real-time crime center that the sheriff just developed, and he's very serious about lights, camera, and action. I mean, we want to see these things at work, and we do. I mean, we have an awful lot of information that goes out. A couple things, I mean, that's obvious that we can do is we can, get somebody out there to write some tickets. We can get some people out there to bring the van to this house, or as long as there's a right of way somewhere close, if nobody's working it. And so so I'm fixing to give away a big secret, right? If it doesn't show up out there, then we're probably doing something. I mean, The problem is that it's never fast enough for a person. The other thing is that there are multiple houses in Escambia County that we have served multiple warrants on, over and over and over. And so it's not that we're not doing enough. I mean, I don't want to talk about anybody that doesn't do what their job is down the line from us, but we arrest a lot of people, and we're going to continue to arrest a lot of people. So this house in particular, how many people know about this particular house that you brought in initially?
I don't know the address right off, but I think it's pretty known with everybody.
I know the two addresses there's two addresses, I know both of them.
And have they been called?
Yeah.
Yes, we have been concentrating on them.
Okay.
Fact is, the chief deputy, Hobbs, was actually out there sitting on one of the houses with us.
Then I know what house it is.
Yeah.
Then yes, I know exactly what house it is because I was with it. Okay. I've been out there a couple of times.
So like I said, I'd just like to see some results, and if you're working it, great. But if these mules or truggies or whatever are coming in every day still, then it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, we try to work ourselves out of a job every single day and arrest as many people as we can. Sometimes it's more difficult to do that. We don't have a solution for crime yet. But we're working, and I think we will continue to work it. And so I'll get the address from you, and I'm gonna get your follow-up information, because I wanna get you some answers. I think that's important. That's probably the most important thing for me, is to make sure you have some answers to some questions that you don't have answers to currently. Other than that, what else you guys got going on?
I'm gonna go back to a couple
Yeah,
things.
please.
On the speeding, when they came out and measured road tickets last time, and they were there at about 9 in the morning, and that's too late, because most of the shift in the speeding that happens is earlier, and then as Richard said, later in the afternoon. So, you know, again, I don't know if there's a process, how, can we request, we would like during this time, or is it just, we just put it on your list and it happens when it can?
So in order to do, we'll put a speed trailer, it'll stay there for a few days. In order to write tickets, that's a full-time job during the day.
Right.
Howard may be that guy. I mean, who knows how it
Yeah,
gets assigned?
those speed trailers, what they do is they give us data.
Correct.
So we can look back and see when the primary time that the speeders are coming through.
Right.
That way we can concentrate the manpower on that time
But yeah.
frame.
Yeah,
Give me the
we've been-
time.
We've been told we'd get the little, ropes in the road, that didn't happen, and the average speed, I think, it was much lower than expected, but it was because of the time of day. Because it was, when it was more, not people flying through.
Yeah, I can tell you the officer that came out and wrote tickets sends an email to Lisa Pierce, who is our, I guess, administrative aide, if you wanna call her that. And he lists every car that he clocks.
Yes.
So she knew exactly which ones he wrote tickets to and every car that he clocked.
Yeah, I got that.
I think there was 50 or 60 cars in one email that he sent.
The problem is the speed limit's 25, and most people that are cautious are driving 20. So if you're doing 30 or 35, you look like you're speeding, but maybe from a perspective, 30 is not. But what's gonna happen if they do come out, people in Navy Point are gonna get tickets.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
And they're gonna complain.
That's the end. I mean, I've never put one out that it was this large influx of people from other neighborhoods speeding. And I tell people, hey, I'll bring it out, no problem, we'll get some tickets, but this will be your neighbors. And
Well,
that's it, yeah, right, and that's,
fine.
right,
That's fine.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
one of the problems you run into, I can tell you this happened to me. We got a complaint for cars cutting through for the kids going to Pine Forest High School from Michigan Avenue back to Community Drive and Longley. So we set up radar. The very first car we clocked was the lady who called the complaint here. She blew her stack and said, I wasn't talking about me, I was talking about the kid.
That's happened to me multiple times.
So when
It's
we
just,
come
it
out,
never fails.
when we come out and do this, when we're writing tickets, we have to write everybody that we pull over that's over a certain speed. So I tried to explain that to her, but she wasn't happy about it.
What other concerns do y'all have?
Is anyone missing dogs? We're talking about cats a lot. Dog
What about missing them?
loose all the time. There's several that everybody knows that always get loose. Walking my 4-year-old is like, or letting my wife walk the 4-year-old. She's talked about several times. Even some that are known she's been growled at.
Have you guys
I'm an animal
reported
lover.
them?
Not the dog, we've dealt more with the cats, we've talked more about the cats, we've had fleas and we don't even own cats,
It's okay.
you know. But-
Certainly you gotta report it.
I was just seeing if anyone else had brought that
I know
up.
last week Animal Control came out on, I believe it was Kalash,
Yeah,
and they were trying to catch 2 loose dogs that were growling at people,
mm-hmm,
and they were having trouble catching them.
yep,
But they did come out, and not only did they have them there, but they had one of our deputies there also.
yeah. Cool.
You're talking about the black and white that was
loose all the time?
What
I saw him today. My dad dropped flowers off for my wife today, and he went behind. My dad was like, "What's that about?" And I was
Was
like,
it Kalash?
Is it a little
It's
man?
Breed.
It's
Breed
Little Man.
Kalash, yeah.
Little man?
It was Little
Mhm.
Man.
It was
Probably
Little
gonna be
Man
the
He
today.
was
same
out
dogs that
today.
they were out looking for the other day.
Those two other ones though were a lot more aggressive. I've seen.
Yes.
But those 2 brown ones, right?
Yeah.
There was a male and a female, and they looked a lot.
And they're loose?
That was I haven't seen those in a while, but yeah, I do know about
The
those.
2 the other day were loose, they were grounding people, and they'd gone up underneath the house, and they were having trouble catching them.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the issues that I deal with seriously every day.
Sure.
Dogs, speeding, it's the same.
I'll start reporting. I'll start doing my due diligence.
Yeah, it's just, you gotta report it. But if it comes to me, it's reported already. I mean, that kind of stuff, that's easy. I can take that and then I call them and say, hey, are you guys working it? And then if you're not working it, it seems to be a concern to the neighborhood. I was over there at a meeting and they expressed these concerns, and normally they're pretty efficient at trying to get to them.
Yeah.
I think, I always say that our guys are seriously, we have a serious call volume compared to what we have on the streets. Those guys are even worse. I think Animal Control only has a couple of guys.
Can imagine.
Code enforcement only has a couple of guys. So it takes a group of people to work it.
Just
What else
to
you
give
got?
y'all a heads up, I was talking to Commissioner Kohler the other day. The county is giving the sheriff money in the budget this year to hire some additional officers too.
Yay.
So that's gonna be a good thing.
Great.
Is there a formal process for us to request bike patrol?
You could, you could just call down there and do it, but I'll take care of it and I'll ask and see. To be honest with you, I'm pretty certain the unit is out on the beach right now.
Yes,
It's
and we were
summer,
told that last time. And
that's
someone-
high priority right now. So you
Last
might,
Friday night, they had the shooting on the beach on
Right.
senior takeover night.
Yeah.
so it might be more challenging, but what we could do is just ask for additional patrol period. That may solve some of the issues, but I need to pinpoint what is a criminal issue to solve to request that. I think we've got a lot of nuisances. I am gonna go back if there's an influx in burglaries or something. We had talked a little bit about that. I'll take a peek at that. That would be a good reason to request it for certain.
But in each district, if there's at least one hot spot in each district, that's where we tag those commissioners to say, get us some extra money, whether it's grant money or their discretionary funds,
Right.
to be able to do it and see if it makes a difference. If it doesn't make a difference, then you don't keep doing it.
The problem is the grant money that we get comes from the state and the feds.
Yeah.
And that's the
But
problem.
the county commissioners got money too.
There's also a way to solve these, certainly the van, I think, is, you like to see the van, that's something I like to see too, that's an easy fix for me. And we will put the van somewhere and then it's tied to our real-time crime center and we watch it. What you probably will find in the coming days about law enforcement is you will see the cameras, we talk about cameras, our real-time crime center. That's a way that we don't have to tag somebody and say, hey, we need more money, we have that camera now. We can review that camera and see if there's a legitimate crime issue in that neighborhood. Sometimes we feel like when we live in a neighborhood that there's an issue that's bigger than it may be, trust me. If anybody knows it's me, I live in a neighborhood and I wanna call code enforcement every 10 minutes on my neighbors, I don't. But I want to, but I don't. What else you guys got going on over there that's concerning to you? Speed, some dogs, some cats, this particular house. Yes, ma'am.
I have a concern, it's not exactly in Navy Point, but it affects Navy Point because the people come from there into Navy Point.
Yes, ma'am.
It's,
Bayou Davenport.
no.
All those people in Bayou Davenport.
Can I say the address?
Why don't you tell me that privately, but is there a house that's concerning over there?
It's a business.
Okay,
It's on Belt Beach Highway.
I know which one you're talking about.
Okay. And, they bring stolen stuff
Oh,
over there, and then after they get the money, they come into Navy Point. So that's like the stop before coming in. And I
Yeah, that
just,
might be a discussion you have with Howard, I hadn't heard that, so we'll listen to that a
if you
little bit.
could put like a camera across the street or something and see what, you know, what all's going on, I mean,
Why don't you give Ronnie make sure you give the correct address, the
Right.
location of where it's happening at, and then we
Okay.
can go from there on it.
I would,
Didn't that just change hands? Didn't they sell it?
It's the same place, I don't have,
Yeah.
I know that we've been trying to work it for. That's a hard
Sometimes it
place to
changes
work.
hands, but it doesn't change what they do.
That's a hard place to work. Yes, ma'am?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What business are you talking about?
I'll tell you later, you don't want me to say it out loud.
We know which one it is.
I put
though.
some, we'll take this one.
I think it's a different one.
Maybe.
It's a different one.
What else I got out there? A little bit of homeless, a little bit of speeding. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ronnie, is there, just to get an update on that, like the homeless encampments on the, like Jones Swamp wetland, has that been kind of cleared out a while ago, or?
We've been clearing that one out routinely. They
It is
fenced it
a-
off, but they keep coming back. They
It
cut a
is,
hole in the fence.
it is a constant work of mine every day. I spend at least, I will tell you seriously, I probably spend at least 2 hours on encampments and or policies of encampments or how we deal with them politically, through public policy initiatives. And, it is a challenge because it's public land. And so, we have to make sure that we are, before I get too far, and I know that some of you guys don't know me, do you guys have your mind wrapped around what it all takes to make this public policy move? So there was a thing in Miami years ago, it gives them the right to public land, that kind of stuff. It was called the Podger Decree. That kind of was the law of the land since 1993. It just recently changed after COVID based on the fact that Dade County had put in enough safeguards to make sure that the rights of homeless people were upheld. It's a true story. And so I get over there, and the first day I'm at the sheriff's office. By the way, no experience in law enforcement in my life. A master's degree in public policy administration, was a teacher, loved all that stuff, came to work here because I love neighborhood issues. And so first day I come over there, and they're like, hey, we want this person arrested, we want him off. I was like, yeah, I get you, man. You cannot do that. That being said, there are some things that we can do, and so we have to think creatively how we get these individuals help. The county actually does have a good program, it's called Bus Home or Ticket Home or something like that. And so a lot of times our guys are going to camp saying, hey, do you want to go back to your community? The county will pay for that, and they are doing that. That being said, it's a challenge. That particular Jones Swamp has been worked by the sheriff's office since well before I got there. In fact, Chief Deputy Hobbs now was on patrol, so the guy that's the chief deputy was on patrol, and he worked that first as a sergeant out there 20 years ago. It's constantly being worked. So if you see something, again, say something, and let's see if we can figure out how to make this happen. I am constantly in the business of clearing some camp for somebody. So there's 3 things to think about, right? There's public space, private space, that's where you live in a private space, you live in a private space, and then there's the right-of-way. The right-of-way is almost untouchable, because if you have a right to walk down the sidewalk, then a homeless individual does. If you have a right to free speech, they have a right to free speech, and unfortunately their free speech a lot of times is, give me $5 or something. And so we have to find out what's the best avenue, what's the best way to approach this problem. We're never going to arrest our way out of homelessness. We cannot. It is challenging. Communities around this country have tried it and failed miserably. I also think that the sheriff in particular has a pretty kind heart to people. And that being said, though, if you've got somebody on your private land and you don't want them there, call me. I'll trespass them. I'll get them off there. And you run into that, and you run into it in Navy Point. I've done at least 4 trespasses over there for people just coming into their backyard, because you've got those alleyways and that kind of stuff. And so, we get guys to come out there and move them out. Jones Swamp is being worked.
The reason I'm back, and you know this world much better than I do, but what I'm thinking is like this past month with our bicycles being stolen and things, I'm wondering, because those homeless people are gonna go somewhere, right?
They are.
If you force them out, and then they may come into our neighborhood, and then the spike in burglaries or whatever. And
Absolutely.
I think just the knowledge and communication, they're not allowed to be there anymore, be on alert, they may be coming here.
You know, one of the problems we run into with homelessness is there's other issues other than being homelessness. A lot of them have drug problems, a lot of them have mental health issues. So working the overall problem, like you said, you can't arrest your way out of it. The jail's not big enough. There's not enough jails in the United States to where you, and you don't want to arrest somebody just because they're down on their luck. Now, you have professional homeless people that are homeless because they choose to be. But we don't know which ones those are. But a lot of them do have mental health issues and drug addiction. And until you get them off of their drug addiction or you get them treatment for their mental health, that's one of the problems you're gonna run into.
I spend about an hour of my day at least dealing with some homeless issue and another hour of my day at least dealing with some squatter issue. At least. And that's a pretty conservative estimate of that. I probably could spend all hours doing it. And when I first got involved, I thought, man, let's see if we can do something. And we can, and we are. We're clearing homeless camps across the Escambia County when the county says, hey, we don't want them on our property anymore, and the statute says we can. That's part of it. You know, we can't enforce something that's not there. We can't enforce, there wasn't anything there until just recently. And we can't enforce something that's, against our constitutional rights. So we work on it. It's a work in progress though.
Yeah.
Because on the other end of it, you have homeowners like yourself that want to make sure that these things don't increase problems in my neighborhood. I live over by the dog track. There's no doubt the dog track's supposed to move out. I think everybody's seen it on the news, right? And my biggest concern is, what are they gonna do with the property? Because soon people will be squatting in that property, and it'll, my neighborhood's right there. So it's a work, but it's a challenging job, but certainly I love it. What else you guys got going on over there in Navy Point, in the great Navy Point?
No, but I would like to say, since I've lived here,
Yes, ma'am.
these issues have, when I was here about 7-8 years ago, it's hardly even visible anymore. So it is making a difference.
I appreciate you
in
saying
our
that.
neighborhood.
I do appreciate you saying that. I am often the type that does not see the progress either, because all I see is one thing. And when I see one thing, and you can either be a hammer or a nail, right? If you see things as a hammer, you're gonna see that one problem. If you see it as a nail, then things are getting better. I think that's what they say. And I try to believe that things are getting better. But I only see the problem because that's what I'm looking for. And so I'm glad to hear that. And my wife says that too sometimes. She's like, it's fine. Why are you overreacting? And I'll often tell her that you don't have to go face these folks in this meeting that want something done about their neighborhood, and nobody's doing it, right? I'm the person, but that's okay. That's why we're here, and we want to make sure that we continue to be good partners with this neighborhood and every neighborhood. Sheriff Simmons is very serious about this, like I said, the engagement portion of this and what we do in neighborhoods. I'm very fortunate that the sheriff gives me an opportunity to work on these issues.
Ron.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been very, very open with us, and I've appreciated that.
Yeah, probably too much. I'm probably getting fired
No, I
tomorrow.
mean, you have consistently said what other things are going on in your neighborhood, and I appreciate that, because I think you're willing to listen to us. You're telling us what you have going. You're wanting to hear us, and I appreciate that.
We do. I certainly, and I know the Sheriff Simmons is very serious about hearing the concerns of the neighborhoods, right? That's probably the biggest thing to us, because without you guys, what are we doing here, right? The big thing though is the movie night in November. Please come out to Triangle Park.
It's all free.
It's going to be a great evening. We cook around 200-300 hamburgers and hot dogs. Our foundation put together this $250,000 movie screen that we can play movies during the day. We raised private dollars, so no tax dollars went into any of that.
That's great.
It was a lot.
Wonderful.
It was a lot, but we wanted to show a movie during the day at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so kids. The goal was for kids to come.
Otherwise, you'd have to show them, and people would be out till 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Will you be providing a release or something like that we can share with the neighbors?
Yeah, yes, sir. Once we get closer to time, hit me up. Probably October, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We'll start promoting it on our Facebook. We have right at about 180,000, 200,000 followers, give or take, on our Facebook, and so we'll promote it there. And normally it gets a good push, but I'm gonna tell you, I do not believe there's gonna be a lot of people outside Navy Point there. I just don't.
Y'all actually have one of the best locations we've ever done one in.
Yeah.
This is the kind of neighborhood they're designed for.
Well, this will be the first one here.
It will be. Go ahead.
Has the movie already been picked?
There you go.
It has not. Why? But it's gotta be cartoon based.
I was thinking, I think there's one of like a canine dog or something with its owner.
Clockwork Orange.
Something like that.
I would like to show it, you know, because the goal is to get
Yes.
kids, and now you got those cute
Hanoi
townhomes
Hilton.
behind Triangle Point right there.
Yeah.
Swimming in
The
Cambodia.
goal is for kids to walk up,
Fargo.
have some interaction with us. The other thing,
In a safe place.
the other thing that I do is I plant trees from which I'll never get shade from. So the goal is to get kids and make sure that they understand what we're doing is important in your neighborhood. By the time you guys are this age, you guys have made a determination of how you feel about us probably. I hope it's good. But kids, we get up to the park, you know, cook them hot dogs, hamburgers, show them a pretty good movie and interact with us. And hopefully that changes their opinion, or at least if down the road they can say, hey man, these guys were pretty good. They showed a movie and I remember them there in Triangle Park, small park. This is Sheriff Simmons' all. I'm gonna tell you guys, and I'll tell you a story before we get out of here. So we had one scheduled in October for Beulah. If you guys are aware, Beulah Park is an enormous, it was at the Equestrian Center, so in Beulah. So we've done one there previously, we've done two there previously. Huge park, as you guys, some of you have been to the
Huge
Equestrian
turnout,
Center.
too.
Always a big turnout, always a great time. But it did not match. We put it on the schedule initially. So we go to pre-plan for this usually the second week of January. And we determine where our locations are, what our time frame to get all these engagements, because we got the coffee with the cop, we have this event, that event. And so we literally, me and the sheriff and a couple of chiefs, Chief Lucas now, we've got a new chief of staff over there, a female, first time in Escambia County's history. She's an amazing person. And so we do all these things, right? And we plan them out. So Beulah was picked, as you can imagine. And, but it didn't coincide. We later found out that it didn't coincide with our calendar. So what do? We cancel it, and it was later in the year, so we were just gonna cancel it. We're not gonna have another one for the year. Many times, we go 7 days a week, and this can go on for months. I have this meeting, that meeting, we have all these meetings, and so we said, hey, we're gonna cancel the last one for the year. No harm, no foul. And so we go over to Triangle Park for the truck thing, food truck rally, maybe. The band's playing or whatever, and the sheriff said, well, why don't we just schedule one here? And I said, what, man? He said, why don't we just schedule our last movie night in this park for the year? I said, Sheriff, we've given everybody that time off, everything's off. He said, but no, really. He said, look around. These guys are playing Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and he's having a good time. He's like, look, man, this is our people. I said, yes, sir. So we've got it scheduled for the Friday. This makes it even worse, by the way. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving's on that Thursday. So everybody's going to want to go out of town. We normally take about 200 people with us to do this project. Because you got to pull the trailer out, you got to do, the cooks and all these people.
The cook and the grill.
Horses, like everybody's there.
The horses coming too.
Yeah.
Everybody will be there. So it'll be a full cadre, as we call it. And so we're going to do this, but this was all him. He picked this one personally based on the fact that he was there and enjoyed his time. So we look forward to seeing you guys October.
Yeah.
You'll see it, and I'll send you something.
How about kindergarten cops? G-rated movie, guys in.
We've never not shown a cartoon of some sort, and I say cartoon,
That's basically a cartoon.
Animated, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I wish I could find something that was.
With them too.
I wish I could find something that was indigenous to Navy Point. Some sort of, maybe a waterway movie of some sort. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Our town.
I traveled with the hockey team one time to an away game. They took a good time tour bus, and we followed the players, and they showed a hockey movie on the bus.
Dramatic reading of Double Whammy.
So that kept us in the hockey movie until we got there for the game.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking everybody running.
Good. Anything else? Y'all are good, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Before everybody leaves, we've got Navy Point stickers
And then-
$5 goes to fund various things in the neighborhood, so if you want one, all the money's donated.
And if you have, I think I've got, I don't know
Matt, good to meet you. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm leading into this for a while. You see it?
Can you use that? I do. What was that? Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Which is in November.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later.
I mean, that's really all I can think the entire tourism.
That's not a problem.
We
Hello?